So it's been a while since I've streamed any Plants vs. Zombies, and I apologize ahead of time. My voice is a little bit odd. I've been sick lately. So, for anyone who doesn't know, the third set of cards has been released for Plants vs. Zombies Heroes. This set is titled Colossal Fossils, so if we go to the notes, 50 new cards. Although I think that's a little bit of a misnomer. I honestly don't really count it as 50 new cards altogether. Mainly because they've taken some cards that used to be only available as tokens basically from other cards, and they've made those into now playable cards in your deck. For example, when you used to play Shroom for 2, you'd get a Shroom for 2 and you'd get a Puff Shroom. And now the Puff Shroom is available as a standalone card that costs 0. It's a 1/1 little mushroom with team up that costs 0. So a good number of the new cards that they've added with this set are actually cards that were already existing. But anyway, it's just, semantics. I'm getting technical. But the new cards are out, and there is definitely a good deal of changes to the game as well. So there's 3 major changes that you have to be aware of. There are evolutions, there are dinosaurs, and then there are untrickable cards. So let's see if I can find an example here. Yeah, let's do this. Look at a dinosaur first. If I just go to search, there's 3 dinosaurs for plants, and there's 3 dinosaurs, I believe, for zombies as well. Bananasaurus Rex counts as one of the dinosaurs now. So the main thing about dinosaurs, let's look at Bananasaurus Rex just so we have a good point of reference. Bananasaurus Rex basically used to get stronger every time you drew a card. So they've taken this ability that triggers off of drawing a card and they've given it a name. So that ability is now called Dino-Roar. So all dinosaurs have this. And what it is basically is whenever you draw a card, it triggers that dinosaur's ability. So with Bananasaurus Rex, whenever you draw a card, he gets +1/+1. So now that we have other cards that are also dinosaurs that get this Dino-Roar ability, we'll see what they do also. Let's see here. Let's go to Limapleurodon, or Limapleurodon, however you want to say it. So Limapleurodon is a bean animal plant. Legendary. He's amphibious. And his Dino-Roar is whenever you draw a card, basically, he shuffles a magic beanstalk into your deck. So this works really well, especially in conjunction with Bananasaurus, if you can get these two in a deck together. Because basically what happens is every time you draw a card, while Limapleurodon is on the board, Limapleurodon is going to shuffle a magic beanstalk into your deck. And as you know, a magic beanstalk is a 4/4 card, has 4 attack, 4 health, only costs 1, and when you put him on the board, he draws another card. So basically him drawing a card makes Limapleurodon go ahead and shuffle another magic beanstalk into your deck. So similar to Going Viral, how you can fill up your deck with a bunch of extra Going Viral cards, the same type of thing also happens with Limapleurodon, is he keeps shuffling magic beanstalks into your deck, so eventually you end up with a lot of magic beanstalks. It's not really an issue, because it only costs 1 and it draws a card whenever you play it, which also makes it a great team up for Bananasaurus, because every time you draw a card, again, it triggers Bananasaurus's Dino-Roar as well, which makes him get +1/+1. The other new dinosaur on the plant side is Triceratops. Now, Triceratops is very similar to Bananasaurus Rex. He only costs 2 sun, but he only starts as a 1/3. But the nice part is he does have Bullseye. And similar to Bananasaurus Rex, every time you draw a card, he gets +1/+1. So he doesn't have the double strike capability like Bananasaurus Rex does, but he does grow every time you draw cards, and he's Bullseye, which makes him a big threat. So those are the 3 dinosaurs for the plant side of the house. So now let's go over to the zombie side of the house. And we'll do a search here for Dino as well. So as you can see, the zombies have 3 dinosaurs also. So let's start at the top here. So the first one is Mondo Bronto. So Mondo Bronto gets +1/+1 every time you draw a card, but he also destroys any plants that are in the lane that he's in. So if you have Mondo Bronto on the board, every time you draw a card, he's going to kill anything that's in front of him. That makes it really nice if you're trying to get rid of something like Soul Patch, or even cards that are on the, what's that lane called that the plants have? The one that makes it so the plants cannot be hurt in that lane. So if you put Mondo Bronto in that lane and then draw a card, you can destroy everything that's in that lane. So, nice capability. Is a little bit expensive. He's 5, but he's also a 5/5, and he does have a Dino-Roar. He's also amphibious, which is really nice. So, especially if you find yourself fighting a lot of bean decks where they're putting the Admiral Navy Bean in the water lane a lot, Mondo Bronto can be a great cure for that. What's nice is if you're about to block, your shield meter's getting full, you can put Mondo Bronto over in the water lane, and when you block, put that card in your hand instead of playing it. That counts as drawing a card, which will trigger Mondo Bronto's ability and let him kill off anything that's in that water lane. So what's next? Next, we have Tankylosaurus. So his Dino-Roar is that he does 2 damage to a random plant or to the plant hero. So every time you draw a card, he does random damage on the board. This can be really helpful, especially in decks where you have a lot of card draw. So if you have a trick heavy deck where you've got a lot of leprechaun imps and things like that that give you a lot of card draw, this card is a great addition to that deck. So every time you draw a card, boom, 2 more damage randomly put out there. That's awesome. Alright, third, we have Stompodon. So Stompodon, Dino-Roar, all zombies in your hand get +1/+1. So this is one of those ones you kind of have to think about. It really depends on how you're building your deck. Stompodon costs 3, it's a 2/4, and every time you draw a card, any cards that are in your hand get +1/+1. The trade-off for me on this one is I look at this and I look at Galactic Warlord. And Galactic Warlord, whenever you play him, gives +1/+1 to every card in your entire deck. So this one is cheaper. It also counts as a history zombie and a pet zombie, so it has more synergy with certain types of decks. But if your goal is really just to buff the cards in your deck so that they're stronger before you put them out, you really might want to look at Galactic Warlord instead. Or was it Intergalactic Warlord or Galactic Warlord? Anyway, so those are the 3 dinosaurs for the zombie side. So each side gets 3 dinosaurs. So the other piece that we get are evolution cards. So I'm just going to type evolution, and I can see all the evolution cards. Now one thing you will notice right away is the plants get a lot more evolution cards than the zombies do. The plants have 9 evolution cards. So the way evolution cards work is it's a completely new mechanic in the game. So they can be used as a plant by themselves, or they can almost be used as a trick. What happens with evolution cards is when you play an evolution card, if you play it on top of another plant, it replaces that plant, or it evolves that plant into it. So say for example, let's go with this first one. So it says plant evolution, destroy all gravestones here and next door. So what happens is if I have any plant on the board, I can play Blockbuster on top of that plant, and basically that plant will evolve into a Blockbuster. So that plant disappears, Blockbuster takes its place, and it triggers its ability, which in this case is destroy all gravestones here and next door, which is super powerful. So, evolution, the way you trigger that is by playing a card that has that plant evolution ability on top of another existing card on your deck. Now it doesn't work with just any card, so you do have to pay attention. In this case it just says plant evolution. So let's look at some of the other ones, see if I can find one. Cro-Magnolia plant evolution, plants here and next door get +2 attack. So this one very similar. You play this on top of another plant and it gets +2 attack, and all plants next door do as well. Let's see if I can find one a little bit more specific. Here we go. So Gloom Shroom has been added. Gloom Shroom has Bullseye as a 5/5, he costs 5. So the Mushroom evolution, now notice that the other ones said plant evolution. This one says Mushroom evolution. This means that in order for this evolution to trigger, you actually have to play Gloom Shroom on top of another mushroom that's already on the board. It can't be just any plant, it's got to be a Gloom Shroom. So that's important to take note of and to remember. So when you're looking at plants that have the evolution, or even zombies that have evolution capabilities, you need to look at the wording for it. If it doesn't say zombie evolution or plant evolution, chances are it has a specific type of plant or zombie named. So in those cases, you need to make sure that you're putting it on top of that specific type of plant or zombie. So in the case of Gloom Shroom, it only works if you put it on top of another mushroom that's already on your board. That mushroom then evolves into a Gloom Shroom, and it does 3 damage to zombies here and next door. So the next one we have is Gatling Pea. And this is one that if you've played Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare, you're probably familiar with as well. So the Gatling Pea has double strike, but if you play it over another pea, notice that it does say pea evolution, not zombie evolution. So you have to play this one on top of an existing pea on your board. It automatically does a bonus attack. This is great because, again, it's like a free attack. You put it on the board, it does an attack. And it also has double strike. So when it does get to the attack phase of the game, it's going to attack twice as well. So this one could easily attack 3 times within a round. We've also got Bamboozle. So plant evolution, which means you can put it on any type of plant that's on the board. And when you put this down, it draws 2 cards. So this is another good one to use in conjunction with cards like Lemurpleurodon or Bananosaurus Rex, where when you play this on top of another plant, it draws 2 cards, which will buff Bananosaurus Rex and cause Lemurpleurodon to go ahead and shuffle more. Wow, my brain just went blank there. Will shuffle more magic beanstalks into your deck. And so all these cards kind of feed off of each other. So as opposed to just looking at synergies for the tribes, like, berries, nuts, things like that, you can also look at synergies within the actual evolutions and Dino-Roars as well. So everybody out there running those bean decks, Jelly Bean is another good one for you. So Jelly Bean gets 1/1 when anything is bounced, but if you play it on top of another bean, again notice that it says bean evolution. If you play it on top of another bean, it's going to allow you to bounce a zombie. So this gives you kind of a double bonus. It allows you to bounce a zombie. Since a zombie's being bounced, it's going to give you +1/+1. And it's a bean, so it'll trigger Admiral Navy Bean's bonus attack. So a lot of good stuff going on here. This is another nice weapon in a bean deck. Not that I think bean decks need a lot of weapons, because they tend to be overpowered as it is. But one thing that you should notice, if you do run bean decks, there have been some changes to the way click peas work, which I'll look at in just a minute. So another evolution plant is Tricorn. So a Tricorn attacks here and next door, which is awesome. Similar to, Starfruit, but only attacks in the lane he's in and the 2 lanes to either side of it. So the nice part, though, is if you play it on top of an existing plant, and it'll work on any plant, it says plant evolution. If you play it on an existing plant, what it's going to do for you is it's going to allow you to get +2. So it's basically going to be a 4/6 at that point that attacks in 3 lanes. So that gives you a lot of damage potential on the board. Then we have Elderberry. So Elderberry is a flower and berry plant. This is awesome because, again, it has flower synergy and berry synergy, which makes it a natural fit for Solar Flare. So it has strike through, And if you play it on top of another plant, it gets +3, so it basically becomes a 5/4 at that point with strike through, which is just awesome. Cob Cannon's another one. This one's a team-up evolution, so it has to be played on top of a plant that has team-up. So when you play this guy, no matter if you play him on top of another plant or not, zombies here and next door get -1/-1. So the zombie that's directly in front of it, as well as the zombies to either side of it, are going to get -1/-1. However, if you play it on top of a plant that has team-up, it's going to allow you to destroy a zombie also. So you can weaken 3 lanes worth of zombies plus destroy a zombie, which is just pretty awesome. Let's go to the next one. Oh, is that it? Okay, yeah, so that's all the... Sorry about that. That is all of the the evolutions for the plants. So let's go to zombies and do the same thing. So notice the zombies don't quite have as many evolutions as the plants. So zombies have 7 evolutions instead of 9. A little bit more advantage for the plant side in that case. But the zombies do have some other advantages, which we'll see in a few minutes. So let's start at the top again. So in the beastly class, we've got the Primordial Cheese Shover. It's a gourmet zombie. You can play it on top of any other zombie, and when you play it on a zombie, it destroys a plant. So, not the most, not the most crazy one, but still, it's decent to be able to destroy a plant just because you played a zombie, especially things, again, like Soul Patch, or some of the plants that are untrickable, which is another new feature that we'll talk about in a minute. So Evolutionary Leap is a trick that lets you transform a zombie into a random zombie that costs 1 more, as well as allowing you to draw a card. So again, this is another great one to use when you have something with a Dino-Roar on the board already as well, because that'll trigger that ability also. Zomblob is another good one. It's got Bullseye, and whenever you play it on top of another zombie, it gets +1 attack for each brain you got this turn. This makes it a natural fit for playing it on top of something that is on a Medulla lane. So you play a Medulla Nebula, the next round you play any zombie on top of it, a Leprechaun Imp, something else, basically anything that's really cheap. Or even maybe a Brain Vendor. So you trigger the Medulla, get extra brains, and then you play this guy on top of it. So what this does for you is it triggers the Medulla Nebula again, giving you more brains, and then this guy gets +1 for each brain you got that round. So there's a lot of potential here to really build this guy up quick and have huge attack numbers fairly early in the game if you use it right with Medulla. Alright, so next we've got the Gizzard Lizard. So pet monster zombie, so it's got pet synergies. It does have a zombie evolution. It does 2 damage to each plant, which is pretty awesome. Sorry about that. So, playing this on top of an existing zombie does 2 damage to each plant that's on the board, which is awesome. You can wipe out a whole bunch of plants real quick with that. Jurassic Fossil Head. Now this one is one of my favorites. So this one's untrickable, which means that plant tricks cannot be played directly against him. So untrickable is one of the new modifiers in the game as well. Plants have 1 untrickable card, zombies have 2 cards that are untrickable. So a little bit lopsided there, but you also have to realize that the plants get 2 more evolution cards than the zombies do, so they had to balance it somehow, I guess. So untrickable, again, means that the plants can't play tricks directly against this guy. So no destroy cards, no do 3 damage, none of that. They can't do anything to this guy with tricks. Now, they can still use tricks on plants that are in front of him, so they can do a bonus attack trick that makes the plant attack you again. They just can't play tricks directly against this guy. So notice that it's a professional history zombie, and it has professional evolution. That means if you want to trigger this this zombie's evolution, you have to play it on top of an existing professional zombie. The nice part about that is there are like 5 or 6 professional zombies in the game that only cost 1 brain. So round 3, you can put a 1-cost professional zombie down, and then drop this guy on top of it. If you do that, not only is he untrickable, but he gets +3 attack and +3 health. So he basically instantly becomes a 5/6 at that point. So round 3, you can have a 5/6 on the board that cannot be hit with tricks, which is amazing. Now, if you get strategic with it, maybe we wait an extra round. Round 3, you put a Medulla Nebula on the board. Round 4, you put any 1-cost professional zombie on the board, the Chimney Sweep, the Zombologist. There's a new one called the Middle Management Zombie. Put any of those 1-cost guys on the Medulla. You get 3 extra brains. Then, for 2 more brains, you drop this guy on top of it. It counts as a transformation, basically playing a new zombie on the Medulla Nebula, so it triggers another 3 brains for you. And then he transforms and gets +3/+3. So it gives you extra brains, triggers your Medulla, he's untrickable, and he gets +3/+3. And if you really have a nice deck going, you just got an extra 3 brains, which means now you have enough during the trick phase to do something like going viral. That way you've got Frenzy on top of that now. So it really builds up some really nice combos. This is one of my favorite new cards right now. Alright, let's go over here. So Primeval Yeti. So we have another Yeti now. So it's a pet monster zombie. Again, a lot of synergies with pet decks. Zombie evolution, so you can play it on top of any zombie. And when you play that, all zombies get +2/+2. Whoa, having a little bit of oddness with the sound there. Sorry about that. So, I play this on top of an existing zombie. All the zombies on the board get +2/+2. So really nice. It's a 5-cost 4/4. If you play it on top of somebody else, it basically becomes a 6/6, and everything else on the board also gets +2/+2. Which is great with pet decks because, say for example, you've got Cat Lady out there. She gets +3 just for playing a pet, then gets +2/+2 because the Yeti was played. If you also have a Zookeeper out there, all of them get another buff, so you can really, really escalate that damage ramp quickly on your pet decks now. So, Blowgun Imp. So, it's got Deadly and Strike Through, and the Zombie Evolution allows it to bounce a plant, so if you play it on an existing zombie, and it can be any zombie, again this one isn't specific, it can be any zombie, you'll bounce a plant as well, so another really good option. It does cost 5 and you're really getting a 3/3 for it, but it's got Deadly and Strike Through and bounces a plant, and that's a really good combination. Still a little expensive for my taste, so that's all of the ones for the zombies. Now there are some other new cards as well, but one of the first things I really want to cover is the change to Click Peas. Let's see. So, you have to kind of look at it to see the difference, but Click Peas were becoming very overpowered because they only cost 1, and every time you play them they get stronger and stronger, and it shuffles more in your deck, so you can fill the board with Click Peas really easily. And there's no negative for using them because every time you used them, the price stayed at 1, but they got stronger and stronger. So in order to combat that, the fact that Click Pea flooding was becoming a major strategy and overpowering a lot of decks, if somebody started out with a Click Pea turn 1 and then got them for turn 2, 3, 4, there's basically no way you could ever catch up to them. So what they've done to combat that is they've made a slight change to the Click Pea that now whenever you play a Click Pea on the board, it's going to not only add +1/+1 for attack and health to all the other Click Peas in your deck, it's also going to increase the price of them by 1. So the first Click Pea I play cost 1 sun. The second Click Pea I play costs 2 sun. The third one costs 3 sun, and so on and so forth. So every time you play a Click Pea, the price of all your remaining Click Peas goes up by 1. So no more flooding the board with them. You have to use them much more strategically now. They're still great if you can start using them later game on a bean deck or pea deck, especially with a bean deck, because you can still get them out there and you shuffle more into your deck. But they have curbed it a bit, so you can't just spam them and unleash infinite peas across the board, which is awesome. Let's see. The other thing we want to look at before we start building a deck here is Untrickable. So on the plant side, we have one plant that's Untrickable, and that is the Umbrella Leaf. So it has Team Up, it only costs 1, it only has 1 health and no attack, but it makes any plants that are in this lane and the lanes next door to it Untrickable, which means basically it grants all those plants immunity from tricks. So this is especially good in a flower deck where you've got, you know, something like Poppin' Poppies out there and multiple plants, or a Briar Rose. You can pop one of these next to it, or even in the same lane with it, since it has Team Up, and effectively all those flowers now become Untrickable. So 2 things to note though. 1, it only has 1 health, so it's a fairly weak plant itself, and 2, it does not have Untrickable itself. It only grants Untrickable to the plants around it. So it is not Untrickable, which means this guy is a prime target for things like Nibble, Rolling Stone, stuff like that. So they can play tricks directly against this guy. The only real way to combat that is to put 2 Umbrella Leaves in the same lane or next to each other. Since they only cost 1, you can do that fairly early in the game. If you can get 2 Umbrella Leaves on the board next to each other or in the same lane, they will grant each other the Untrickable ability, plus cover the lanes around them. So it might make sense if you want to stack them in the same lane, but it actually makes more sense to put them side by side in the lanes. That way the effect actually spreads a lane farther on either side. So you can actually cover 4 lanes, and anything in those 4 lanes is going to be Untrickable. You can then put something stronger either in front of these or behind them if you need that little bit of a shield. So a lot of things you can do with this, but remember, if you're not putting 2 of them on the board, then these are still a prime target for tricks that target low health minions. Again, things like Nibble and Rolling Stone. Chickening would also be another one. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how chickening works. Chickening should hit anybody who's not Untrickable, but I'm assuming it's going to just miss or skip the ones that are Untrickable. It'll be interesting. I'll have to try that out and see if they thought that far into it. So for the zombie side, we've got 2 Untrickable minions. Both are very nice and powerful. So the one we haven't looked at yet is the Parasol Zombie. It's a party zombie. It's Untrickable, and it makes zombies next door Untrickable as well. So very similar to what the plant one does, except with the added benefit that A, this has much higher attack and much higher health, and B, it's Untrickable itself also, which means it can't be directly targeted. So this one has so many advantages over the plant version. The only disadvantage is that it costs 4 sun, or 4 brains, but for everything you get, really, that's a really good price. So the Parasol Zombie is really good. And the other one we've already looked at is the Jurassic Fossil Head, which again is Untrickable itself, and it evolves and gets +3/+3 if you play it on another zombie. It does not grant Untrickability. Maybe that's my new word, trademark, hashtag, whatever. But it does not grant the Untrickable trait to zombies around it. It's Untrickable itself, but it does not share that capability with any other zombies on the board. Alright. So there are some other new ones as well. Again, there's a lot of ones that they've changed. For example, so the Haunting Ghost, they've got a new version now. It doesn't summon anything when it gets killed, but he's amphibious now, which makes sense because he floats. What they've done is they've taken a lot of the cards that float or fly, and they've made them so they can be amphibious now, since they'd be floating above the water anyway. So the Haunting Ghost is amphibious, and when you play it, a plant gets -1/-1. So that's pretty awesome. We still have, of course, the Haunting Zombie, and when you play the Haunting, or when the Haunting Zombie gets destroyed, it plays a Haunting Ghost. So if you notice, the only way prior to these cards coming out to get a Haunting Ghost was to play the Haunting Zombie, and then it gets killed, and it basically summons a Haunting Ghost card into your hand. So what they've done, a lot of the cards that are new cards are actually cards that already existed, you just couldn't have them directly in your deck. So Haunting Ghost was a card that you could already get before. It didn't have the amphibious or -1/-1 capabilities, but it did get summoned automatically whenever a haunting zombie was killed. So it was a card that was already in the game. It's just that now it's a card you can directly add to your decks. And they've done that with a few of them now. So another one they did that with... Oh wait, yeah, let me go back to plants here. Another one they did that with is the Puff Shroom. Here we go. So if you notice, the Puff Shroom is a 0-cost card. It's a 1/1 with Team Up. So, usually, this is a card that was already in the game. You just couldn't add it to your deck directly. The only way to get this card previously was to use something like a Shroom for 2, which put a Shroom for 2 on the board and then summoned a Puff Shroom right in front of it. So now you can get Puff Shrooms directly, which is good for mushroom decks. Again, they cost 0. It's also good for decks that use things like Go Nuts and stuff like that for team up, that want to do that team up and buff your attack real quickly. So this is another one that has good synergy with that as well. So I don't want to go over every card, but I just wanted to go over some of the new ones that I liked, and especially over some of the differences to the rules that they've made changes to with this new set of cards that's come out. Some other nice ones here. So we've got Grape Responsibility, doubles a plant's health. That's pretty awesome. It's a 1-cost trick that doubles a plant's health. Now, if you think about things like Soul Patch and stuff like that, this means your Soul Patch can now have double the health, last twice as long. Really awesome. But if you think back to Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. So we have Grape Responsibility, and then let's see further down, where is it? I know it's down here. I'll just search for it. Here we go. So under Mega Grow, we've got Grape Power. So with Grape Power comes Grape Responsibility. So when I play a Grape Power, it costs 3. Definitely costs more, but what it does is it doubles a plant's attack, which is awesome. So it doubles the attack of a plant, plus you gain a Grape Responsibility. So you play this, it puts another trick into your hand, which is the one we looked at a second ago, Grape Responsibility, which doubles a plant's health. Now these are cards that would go really well. Whoa. These are cards that would go really well with something like Repeat Moss. So this is cost 3, but it doubles a plant's attack. So you play it on Repeat Moss, doubles his attack, then he does a bonus attack. It also summons a Grape Responsibility, which costs 1, which means now you have another one in your hand that if you have 1 sun left, you can play that Grape Responsibility onto your Repeat Moss as well, double his health, and cause him to do another bonus attack. So when Set 2 came out and added all the futuristic cards and all the synergies and the different types of lanes to the game or environments, you know, everybody was saying everything's overpowered. Well, if everything's overpowered, then nothing's overpowered, because, you know, they're all equal. But now they're bringing some cards that are revitalizing some of the older decks that were popular before Set 2 was released. So it's been a while since I've seen anybody really using a Repeat Moss deck. So Great Power and Great Responsibility are two that look really good to use with Repeat Moss. Alright, let's see. Any other major changes that I want to call out here? Let's see. Any other plants that I really like? So they do have some other ones as well, like 3-Nut. So when you play a plant, that plant's health becomes 3, which is awesome, especially if you're playing a lot of really cheap minions on the board. If you're playing things like Snowdrops and stuff like that, where you can automatically have it come out as a 3 on the board, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, so again, I don't want to go over everything, but there are some good ones here. So one good combo as well is we looked at the Untrickable card on the plant side. The problem with it is that it's weak. It has 1 health, has no attack, and it's not untrickable itself, so a good combination with that is the force field environment, because then it can't be hurt. Now, it doesn't mean it can't be hit by cards that can destroy it, but at least it can't be hurt by zombies that are in front of it. Alright. Let me just do a quick look through here, see if there's anything... Oh! 2 new Gargantuars, actually, that are really nice. We go to the zombies. So, where are they? Here we go. Here's the first one in the Brainy class. We've got the Gargantuar Mime. Now, there's a couple other plants, or there's a couple other cards that are also Mimes. So, Mimes are a new class, or new tribe that's been added to the game. But what Mimes do, at least for the Gargantuar Mime, is whenever anybody does a bonus attack, so does the Gargantuar Mime. So, if it's a plant doing a bonus attack, like Repeat Moss or something like that, the Gargantuar Mime does a bonus attack as well. If your zombies do bonus attacks, which Frenzy does count as a bonus attack, by the way, then your Gargantuar Mime is also going to do bonus attacks. Where this really gets crazy is if you give Frenzy to your Gargantuar Mime, do a bonus attack with anyone, even the Gargantuar Mime itself, that bonus attack triggers a bonus attack from the Gargantuar Mime. So the Gargantuar Mime, if used correctly, can do a ton of attacks. Get it going viral on there, do a bonus attack, and just watch him go to town. Let's see, the other one... No, where did he go? There he is. So the other one is the Cursed Gargolith. The Cursed Gargolith is kind of crazy because at the end of the turn, all Gargantuars hide in gravestones. Which means for the most part, all Gargantuars are immune to damage at that point. So it's like a mixed up Gravedigger, but for Gargantuars only. The other thing about this guy is that... I totally forgot what I was going to say there. That's awesome. So the other thing about the Cursed Gargolith is he's a gravestone. He can put all your other Gargantuars into gravestones, but they have added additional items to the game now, or additional cards to combat gravestones. So let's see here. Let's go back to plants. Let's type in grave. So we already had the Grave Buster, and then we've already looked at the Blockbuster as well. So Blockbuster, if you put it on another plant, destroys all gravestones in this lane and the lane to either side of it. So if they have that Cursed Gargolith out there and all the Gargantuars get put into gravestones, dropping a Blockbuster out there can break 3 of those gravestones at a time. The other new one is this guy, Grave Mistake. So Grave Mistake allows you to actually bounce a gravestone, which is pretty awesome. So we can now bounce gravestones back off the board, which has come super handy already. I've been using this one a lot, especially when they have mixed up Gravedigger, because then I can just bling, flick a grave right back off the board and unblock the plant that I'm trying to get to attack their hero. So pretty awesome. Ooh, one other new card that I really like. So there's a lot of new cards. I'm not going to go through all of them, but one other one that I do want to call out is they did add a new Vampire, the Ancient Vampire. So the normal Vampire, whenever he kills something during his frenzy attacks, he gets +2/+2. The Ancient Vampire makes it so that whenever any other zombie on the board with frenzy kills something, they get +2/+2. So playing the Ancient Vampire with any of the zombies that have frenzy is a great combination. So the nice thing about this also is the Ancient Vampire is amphibious, so you usually try to want to put him on the far right hand in the water lane if possible, because what you want to do is have room for all your other frenzied zombies out there so that they can attack and get buffed before it gets over to your Ancient Vampire. So you want to give him a chance to buff as many of your zombies as possible before he gets killed, because they're going to try to take him out. But just another great one. Alright. So let's go ahead and run some decks. So I've got a deck that I'm currently working on here. Very similar to one of my old Rust Bolt decks, where I really focused on having Medulla Nebula, Viral, the Zombologist, and the Gladiator out there. But I've made a couple tweaks to the deck. So I've added, you know, like I said, one of my favorites here, the Jurassic Fossil Head. Because he's untrickable, gets +3/+3. But what I can do in this case is the Gladiator is a sports professional zombie, so they've made some changes to the classes of some of the cards also. So he's a sports professional zombie. The Zombologist, or Zombology teacher, is also a professional zombie. So if you put the Medulla Nebula down, you can put one of these two on it, which is a 1 cost. That gives me 3 more brains, and then I can drop the Jurassic Fossil Head on top of them, transforming them into a Jurassic Fossil Head, generating 3 more brains, getting +3/+3 on the attack and health of the Jurassic Fossil Head. And with those 3 extra brains that I generated, I can do something like play it going viral, so I just got a really strong minion on the board that can't have tricks played on him, and he has Frenzy. And so what I've also added to this deck is Escape Through Time. Whoops, did not want to do that. I've added Escape Through Time because depending on what they're doing, I might want to make him basically invincible periodically. So, a lot of good stuff here. Since this deck does get a lot of Frenzy, I've also included the Mime Gargantuar, or Gargantuar Mime, because there's a lot of potential for Frenzy, which means a lot of potential for bonus attacks in this deck. Another update to the game, just as a side note before I start playing here, is you may notice that the Cryo Brain now is a gourmet science trick instead of just a gourmet trick, which actually makes a lot more sense. So it is a science trick also now, which means it also triggers the interdimensional zombie. So if you have a deck where you're using interdimensional zombie on a Medulla Nebula, you can then play Cryo Brain to trigger the transformation of the interdimensional zombie and trigger the Medulla Nebula again to get even more brains. So really good for ramping now on decks. So I'm going to go ahead and use this deck. We'll jump into a couple ranked games. I'm still trying to get a good idea of how to use some of the cards together, so currently still doing a lot of experimenting, which means, of course, losing a lot. And I don't like playing casual games. I always play ranked, but I don't mind if I lose. So I don't need him to start out with. I'll get rid of one of these guys. I guess I'll get rid of both of them. There we go. So I don't really have anything early game to play right now. But I have plenty of time to learn to use the new cards and the best combinations to use them together. I've got all of the new cards. The only ones I don't have are the event cards that haven't been released yet. But I've got all of set 3, so I plan on spending a lot of time and doing more videos on actually using the cards. So this is my first in my new series, Dexperiments. So we're going to be experimenting with using the new cards in different combinations. So again, I don't really have much to play right here. Alright, but now I am set up. So I'm not going to play anything round 2. Round 3, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my Medulla Nebula on the board. Round 4, I'll put my Gladiator on the Medulla Nebula. I'll put the Jurassic Fossil Head on top of the Gladiator. So I'll get a bunch more brains. I'll get a much higher attack and health. And then maybe I'll even have enough to play my Mime, who knows. Alright, so skipping again. The nice thing about the Jurassic Fossil Head is he can't be hit by the banana bombs. I'm going to put this to the far right. I know I'm taking a bunch of damage here, but sometimes you gotta sacrifice to get ahead. Alright, so I play my Gladiator. I get 3 brains, now I'm up to 6. I play my Jurassic Fossil Head on top of them, so that's how evolution cards work. So this one has to be played on top of a professional card, which I did. So now I've got a 5/6, and I've got even more brains. So now, I'm actually going to put my kitchen sink zombie out. And what's nice is he can't banana bomb my Jurassic Fossil Head, and I've got enough brains left to actually use Escape Through Time to make it so that he can't hurt my kitchen sink zombie. And there's really nothing he can do about it right now. Yeah, you can do 2 damage. That's awesome. Go for it. So, we'll do Escape Through Time. Not that he's going to take damage anyway, but oh well. These guys only do 1. They wouldn't have gotten through his armor anyway, so it was really pointless to do that, but at least it drew me another card. I really need to get some more minions in my hand so that I have more cards to put out on the board. And we went from him having 20 health and us being down to 14 to now we're ahead and he's down to 12 health. So good stuff. Alright. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my Mime down. Let's see if he can kill us off here. So what's going to happen is if my kitchen sink zombie gets a chance to use his frenzy and attack multiple times, it's going to cause my Mime to go ahead and do bonus attacks as well, which will take care of that banana bomber. And of course we've still got the threat over there on the right, so he's really got to choose at this point. He's only got 5 sun. He's got a 6 damage and 2 5 damages out there in front of him. So he's got to take a pick of which threat is the highest and try to get rid of it. He can't really block the kitchen sink zombie unless he has something with more than 3 health, otherwise his frenzy's going to go right through it, which will also trigger the Mime. So his best bet right now is either get rid of the Mime or get rid of the Jurassic Fossil Head, but he's going to take a lot of damage if he does that because the kitchen sink has bullseye, and he's probably just going to disconnect. So he's out of options at this point, basically. And of course. Good night. Alright. Whoops. Sometimes I forget and hit these too quickly. So that was good. Let's go ahead and do another one here. Sorry, I can't get to the mute button quick enough, so I apologize if I'm coughing and coughing all over the place during this video. Alright. So, I definitely don't need 2 kitchen sinks in my starting hand. Zombology Teacher is pretty awesome, except you never want to put her out there by herself because they're just going to take her out really quick. Let's see. I'll actually go ahead and get rid of this guy. Oh, I don't need 2 of those. That works. Now what I really need is a Medulla Nebula, but at least I have some starting options here. Alright. So most likely I won't really be putting any minions on the board until round 3 unless I draw something decent this next round. But you gotta be patient. Again, this deck has the potential to ramp very quickly, so you might have to take damage to the face for the first few rounds. But once you make it past the first few rounds, the potential for doing damage and for getting minions on the board is just crazy. Yeah, so also trying out a new overlay for the channel. Have some of the social media stuff up there and all that good stuff. Now, I am fairly certain that this Rose is playing a freeze deck, otherwise I don't see any reason why they'd be waiting this long to put anything out. So, usually about round 3 is when they start losing their patience and they start putting out things anyway, so we'll see. But my assumption at this point is it's a freeze Rose. Yeah. So, I'm going to go ahead and use my Cryo Brain, that way I get some bonus brains here. Oh, perfect. So I've got 5 brains now. And I've got my Warlord, which is going to buff everything in my hand. So this is where the issue you get into if you're running a freeze deck and you're just waiting and waiting. You need to have some other cards in your deck. Because they're basically just enabling me to sit here and buff up all the cards in my hand. That's fine. You are free to do that all you want. So I'm at 6 here. So here's the really nice part. I'm going to put out my Zombology teacher. I'm going to put my Jurassic Fossil Head on top of it. They've both been buffed by my Warlord, so instead of a 5-6, I'm going to end up, I believe, with a 6-7. And then I'm going to use Going Viral on top of that, unless I see any reason not to. So there we go. Yep, so he's a 6-7. Another nice trick is if he gets damaged too badly, the nice thing about the evolution cards is you can play them on top of each other. So if he gets hurt too badly and he's about to die, I have another Jurassic Fossil Head in my hand. I can play it on top of him and turn him back into another 6-7. It's almost like an instant heal. So just something to keep in mind. You can play your evolution cards on top of themselves as well. Oh yeah, go ahead, go ahead. I don't mind. Alright, so he's got, what, 5 damage in front of me? He can't do tricks on me. So I'm just going to do Going Viral here. And I'm just going to go right through all of them. Nice. So he's going to do 5 damage to me. But it's alright. Because I'm going to kill them both off and then do 7 damage right to him directly. That is a great trade-off. Alright. So what do I want to do now? So here's what I'm going to do now. He is hurting bad. So I'm going to show what I was talking about earlier. I'm just going to play this right on top of itself. It basically transforms me into a Jurassic Fossil Head again, which is pretty much the same thing as healing yourself. So I just used 2. It cost me 2 brains to basically heal myself to full. I do lose my Frenzy, but you know what? I've got enough to play my other Going Viral here as well. That's fine. He does not have a lot of options at this point. So, we're going to do exactly that. And why not here? The game is glitching out just a bit, so hopefully the stream's still coming through clearly. Nice. Buff up his health a little more, why not? Alright. Now we're going to do 7 more damage to his face. Yeah. Like I said, this deck has so much potential for damage. So this time, I'm going to go ahead and put him out there. And why not? I will go ahead, put my Zombology teacher. I want to keep the pressure up. So now he's in real trouble. Unless he's got a cucumber and he can turn all my guys into 1/1s, he's going to have really, a really hard time trying to survive this round. Yeah, he's got three sun left. At this point, he should basically just concede. Or not. I'll heal myself back up just so that I win with full health. And, yeah, I don't even need to use that. Ah, dead. There we go. Good stuff. All kinds of fun. So again, the new cards work really well. You just have to really wrap your head around how they work together. And, you know, little tricks, things like playing a evolution card on top of itself. Again, it counts, it triggers the evolution, so you get all the benefits from it, but it's almost like healing it. So in my case, I'm basically healing my Jurassic fossil head back to full for 2 brains, just the cost of itself. So just awesome little things you can do here. Alright, so I think that is good for tonight. So we've done some experimenting. We've learned how some of the new cards work together. We did a walkthrough of some of the cards themselves, the changes that they made to the game today with the new set 3 cards, the Colossal Fossils. So hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or even requests, I've got the entire 3rd set of cards already. I've got 4 of each. So if you have any requests, you want to see how specific cards work, you want to see, you have a dream deck that you want to build, let me know, leave it in the comments, hit me on Twitter, just let me know what it is you want to see, and I'll put that deck together and I'll try it out for you on the next stream. So, I'm going to go to bed. Thanks for stopping by, thanks for watching the video, feel free to like, subscribe, follow, all that good stuff, leave comments. If there's something I can do better, let me know. If there's something that you'd like to see, let me know. If there's a different game you'd like to see me play, again, let me know. I'm always open to suggestions. Another one that I've got coming up on the horizon is I do have the early access version of the Fable Fortune card game. It looks like a cross between Hearthstone and a couple other games, so we'll see how that is as well. I haven't tried that out yet. So again, thanks for coming by. Feel free to like, subscribe, follow, comment, any of that stuff. Dance. You want to dance? Dance. You can dance. I don't judge. All right. Anyway, have a great night. It's your boy Blue, and I'm out.